Father Ezra, Igor, thank you for joining us. We're going to have a conversation about artificial intelligence, but before we start diving into all the surrounding issues, I want to first define what is artificial intelligence to people that are watching from your perspective. So Igor, why don't you start us off? What is artificial intelligence?
It has so many definitions, it's kind of hard to get down to one. Because on one side, you have the perception from the literature, science fiction or not, about what AI is or isn't. You have this perception from movies, Skynet, etc., etc. But if you look back about when the terms was really defined, it was in opposition to something. And it was in 1956, 57, when you had this summer workshop at Dartmouth. Getting back some academician, John McCarthy had this idea about we could do something in that domain, in that field, and he did not want to use the word automata or cybernetics because he wanted to avoid one individual. Had he chosen cybernetics, we would not have that dialogue today about what is or what isn't artificial intelligence, because you can't project. Cybernetics, what does that mean? But artificial intelligence, I can understand. I understand what intelligence is. We identify as being intelligent being. So therefore, artificial intelligence has to be an artificial being that's intelligent. On the other hand, artificial intelligence, the way that we started is let's say, a set of algorithms, a set of reasoning, a set of tools. Linear regression is part of artificial intelligence. Now, if you look at linear regression, it's a simple algorithm. Well, not simple. It's an algorithm that Gauss invented at the end of the 18th century. So is that really artificial intelligence? Is that an artificial being? No, it's an algorithm. What does it do? It allows us to forecast under some assumptions. And in his case, it was about finding a planet that disappeared behind the sun, I think. And in that case, then artificial intelligence, the one that was intended, it was more about, I think, in some situation, how do you forecast, how do you understand to, I guess, take next steps.
So essentially, artificial intelligence was a tool.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we piggyback on that and say, well, we've become very good into a lot of algorithms. And the way that I view artificial intelligence and machine learning is you have an objective that is clearly well defined, that it is mathematically measurable, and we had a dialogue yesterday on this. But if you define it and you give me data, then with algorithms, I can use the data to optimize the function. And whatever that function is, I get better and better at what it is supposed to represent. For example, I can have a set of optimal criteria for winning in chess. I optimize the algorithm around it. I give it a lot of data to learn, and it can forecast different moves, and you figure out which one is the best one. In the end, you end up with something like the algorithm that beat Kasparov. And we forecast and say, well, from that, we act by analogy by saying, oh, but if you're great at chess, you must be good at reading, you must be good at making eggs, you must be good at everything. Well, no, that algorithm is good at one and one only thing, playing chess. You can take that algorithm and playing checkers against it, or tic-tac-toe, and probably you will beat it, because it has no way to rationalize about what that space is.
So Igor, what's the difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence? I hear these terms kind of thrown about.
We use them interchangeably.
Okay.
Machine learning is one part of the group of things that AI consisted of. Search is one. The different index structures is another one. Different noise reduction techniques is another piece. It's all this technology that we use in order to be able to, from data, I guess, that's a little bit noisy, to make inferences about the rest. Okay. And we put that under an umbrella saying that's artificial intelligence.
This is very interesting to me. So in popular culture, though, when I hear the term artificial intelligence, that's not really what I think about, right? I think about, well, if I'm watching Ex Machina, I think of that woman robot, AI, having these really sophisticated conversations, right? Father Ezra, so let's talk a little bit about consciousness, right? Because Igor alluded to this earlier. Artificial intelligence, artificial consciousness, what do you think about this? Is that even possible?
Well, I think that the question about the definition of artificial intelligence and contrasting it to cybernetics is extremely helpful, because ultimately we're dealing with metaphors, and it's a comparison to what we already know. What we do know is that people have intelligence, but it turns out there are different kinds of intelligence. And at first what we wanted to do was reduce machine learning to a kind of a calculation, an algorithm, similar to the way that humans can do algorithms either in their head or on paper. But there are also other kinds of intelligence. People talk about emotional quotients of intelligence as opposed to calculative or mathematical. And so if we speak about emotional intelligence, is this something that could be possible? And then consciousness is even a third concept, and this has to do with either self-knowledge, self-reflection, or it may be something even more spiritual, the ability to have a new insight as opposed to just juxtaposition of images in the mind. And so I would say that the question of whether or not machines can be conscious is slightly different than whether or not they can be intelligent. They can be intelligent perhaps in a way that a bird is intelligent, or even the way a worm moves in order to find food. That's intelligent too. But is it conscious? That's a different issue.